There is a subtle strength in silence that many overlook. In the noise and rush of our daily lives, we often forget that sometimes the most powerful force we can encounter is the absence of sound, a stillness that holds the key to deeper understanding. In this world that demands constant action, we must remember that silence is not empty, it is full of potential, full of the divine. Silence. A word so simple, yet so profound. We live in a world constantly filled with noise, both external and internal. The clamor of our thoughts, the roar of traffic, the endless barrage of social media, and the demands of everyday life all fight for our attention. In the midst of it all, silence can feel like an unfamiliar, uncomfortable void. But it is within this silence that a deeper power lies. It is not merely the absence of sound, it is the presence of peace, the space where wisdom resides, and the voice of guidance can be heard. Silence is a source of great strength, said Lao Tzu, the ancient philosopher, and indeed silence offers us a strength that is often overlooked. We have become so accustomed to constant noise and distraction that we have forgotten how to truly listen. The world tells us to be louder, to speak more, to assert ourselves, to always be in motion. But in doing so, we miss the quiet moments where clarity is born. In silence, we find our minds cleared of the clutter that distracts us from what truly matters. It is here, in the stillness, that we are able to hear our own thoughts, to connect with our innermost desires, and to discern the divine whispers that guide us. Albert Einstein once remarked, "The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind." There is a powerful truth in this. When we are surrounded by noise, our thoughts become fragmented. We are pulled in 1,000 directions, and we lose sight of the deeper truths within us. But when we embrace silence, we create the space for creativity to emerge, for our minds to wander freely, and for new insights to take shape. It is in the quiet moments that we are able to think clearly, to reflect on our past, and to envision the future. It is often said that still waters run deep, and so it is with the human soul. Silence allows us to dive deeper into the well of our own being, to connect with our true selves. In the rush of life, we are easily swept along, carried by the current of other people's expectations, societal pressures, and the endless stream of tasks and responsibilities. But when we allow ourselves to pause, to sit in the quiet, we rediscover who we are beneath the noise. We can begin to hear our inner voice, that quiet but persistent whisper that reveals our purpose and our direction. Silence is not simply the absence of sound, it is the presence of peace. And peace, as Mahatma Gandhi so wisely said, is the only thing that will make the world a better place. Peace begins within each of us, in the quiet moments where we choose to stop and listen. When we take the time to be still, we find that we are no longer at war with ourselves. The internal struggles, the voices that doubt and criticize, grow quieter. In their place, we hear the gentle assurance of our true purpose. In silence, we are able to connect with the divine guidance that always surrounds us, if only we make the time to listen. There is wisdom in silence, a wisdom that is often hidden beneath the surface of our daily lives. The quieter you become, the more you can hear, said Ram Dass. It is in the stillness that we begin to hear the subtler messages of the universe, the guidance that is always there but often drowned out by the noise of our busy lives. The divine does not shout, it whispers, gently nudging us toward our purpose, toward our highest good. But to hear that whisper, we must first learn to embrace silence. In silence, we also learn the power of patience. In a world that values speed, efficiency, and instant gratification, silence requires us to slow down. It asks us to wait, to be still, to trust that everything will unfold in its own time. Patience is not simply about waiting, it is about trusting the process. Patience is not the ability to wait, but the ability to keep a good attitude while waiting, said Joyce Meyer. When we allow ourselves to be still and embrace the silence, we learn to wait with grace. We learn that the answers will come, not in our time, but in the perfect timing of the universe. There is also a profound humility in silence. It teaches us to listen rather than to speak, to observe rather than to act impulsively. Silence invites us to quiet the ego, to put aside our need to control, to be seen, or to be heard. In silence, we recognize that we are part of something much larger than ourselves, and that true wisdom often comes from letting go of the need to have all the answers. As the poet Rainer Maria Rilke said, "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves." Silence invites us to sit with the unknown, to trust that the answers will come in their own time, and to find peace in the questions themselves. Silence, too, is the birthplace of gratitude. When we are constantly moving, constantly speaking, we often fail to notice the small blessings that surround us, but in silence we become more aware. We begin to see the beauty in the simple things, the warmth of the sun on our face, the sound of the wind in the trees, the quiet moments spent with loved ones. Silence allows us to fully appreciate the gifts that life offers, to feel deep gratitude for the present moment. As Thomas Merton so aptly put it, the beginning of love is the will to let those we love be perfectly themselves, the resolution not to twist them to fit our own image. It is often in the silence that we are most fully ourselves. When we allow ourselves to stop, to be still, to listen, we reconnect with the essence of who we are. We shed the layers of busyness, the distractions, the noise, and find our truest selves beneath it all. In silence, the soul is restored, said Thomas à Kempis. In these moments of quiet, we reconnect with our inner peace, our inner wisdom, and our inner strength. And it is from this place that we are able to move forward with clarity, purpose, and a renewed sense of direction. The power of silence is not simply in its ability to bring peace, but in its ability to transform us. It is in the quiet moments that we are able to hear the divine guidance that leads us toward our highest potential. It is in silence that we find clarity, creativity, and strength. It is in silence that we are reminded of our true selves, our purpose, and our connection to something greater. So let us not fear the silence, but embrace it. For in the silence we find the answers we seek, the peace we long for, and the guidance we need to navigate the journey ahead. There is a quiet, powerful force that often goes unnoticed in our fast-paced, noisy world. It is the force of stillness, of silence, and it is in this silence that divine guidance often speaks to us. In silence we find clarity, said Marianne Williamson, and it is in the quiet of our hearts that we are best able to hear the whispers of wisdom that lead us toward our highest purpose. Too often, we are caught up in the rush of life, rushing to meet deadlines, rushing to meet expectations, and rushing to fill our minds with noise. But in doing so, we drown out the subtle guidance that is always there, waiting for us to listen. It is said that the quieter you become, the more you can hear Ram Dass. We are constantly surrounded by noise, both external and internal, and it is easy to forget that the most profound answers often come when we stop trying so hard to find them. When we step away from the chaos and embrace the stillness, we create the space to hear the inner voice that knows the way forward. That inner voice, that divine guidance, is not always loud or dramatic. It is gentle, it is patient, and it is always available when we choose to listen. Silence is not an absence, but a presence, said the philosopher John Gross. It is the presence of peace, the presence of the divine, and the presence of truth. In a world that values constant action, we often forget that there is power in waiting, in being still. As the great poet Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote, "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in our heart, and try to love the questions themselves. Silence teaches us the power of patience, the patience to wait for the right moment. Patience to trust that the answers will come in their own time, and in the waiting we learn to trust, not just in the process, but in the divine timing that guides us. We often mistake silence for inactivity, but in truth, silence is a place of immense power. Silence is the sleep that nourishes wisdom, said Francis Bacon. It is in silence that our minds can rest, our hearts can heal, and our spirits can reconnect with the divine. When we allow ourselves the space to be still, we create the conditions for transformation. In the quiet moments, we reflect on the lessons of the past. We see the path forward more clearly, and we open ourselves to the wisdom that resides within us. Within us. The divine does not shout or demand, it speaks softly, in the silence between thoughts, in the quiet moments when we stop to listen. As we embrace stillness, we become more attuned to the guidance that is always present, raising us toward greater peace, greater purpose, and greater fulfillment, So let us learn to embrace the silence, to trust it, and to open our hearts to the divine whispers that will lead us to the life we are meant to live. In the silence, we find the strength to move forward, the wisdom to make the right choices, and the peace to embrace the journey ahead. Patience. A virtue we all acknowledge, but one that seems increasingly difficult to practice in today's fast-paced world. We live in an age where everything is at our fingertips, instant access to information, quick fixes for our problems, immediate gratification. Yet in the midst of all this convenience, we have forgotten the profound power of patience. It is said that patience is not simply the ability to wait, but the ability to keep a good attitude while waiting. Joyce Meyer, and this is where the true strength of patience lies. It is not merely about enduring time, but about embracing it with grace, knowing that in time, everything will unfold as it should. Action. The truth is, patience is an act of trust. It is trusting that the universe is unfolding in its own perfect time, trusting that our efforts, no matter how small, will eventually bear fruit. Everything comes to him who hustles while he waits, said Thomas A. Edison. Waiting is not a passive act, it is an active, vibrant process. It is a time of growth, a time to refine ourselves, to learn, and to prepare for what is to come. While we wait, we cultivate patience, fortitude, and resilience. It is in the waiting that our character is shaped. In our culture, impatience has become almost a norm. We feel compelled to rush toward our goals, to speed up the process, to skip over the necessary steps, but in doing so we miss out on one of life's most important lessons. Patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet, said Aristotle. The truth in these words cannot be overstated. The sweetest fruits of life, success, fulfillment, and inner peace are often born from the seeds of patience. We must learn to trust the process, even when the results are not immediately visible, knowing that every moment of patience is a step closer to the realization of our dreams. There is power in stillness, and there is power in waiting. As the poet Rainer Maria Rilke wrote, "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves in the space of patience. We allow ourselves to question, to reflect, and to grow." Patience is not about passivity or resignation. It is about embracing the uncertainty, trusting that answers will come in their own time, and allowing ourselves the grace to explore and understand. When we are patient, we stop trying to force the world to bend to our will, and instead we allow ourselves to grow with it. One of the most powerful examples of patience can be found in nature. Consider the journey of a tree. From the moment a seed is planted, there is no rushing the process. It takes years for the seed to grow into a strong, towering tree. But in that time it is developing roots, strengthening its core, and becoming something beautiful. The same is true for us. Great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together, said Vincent van Gogh. Patience allows us to grow steadily, to build a foundation of wisdom, resilience, and strength. Zinc. Just as a tree does not try to grow overnight, neither should we. The idea of patience can sometimes feel like a burden, something we must endure until our dreams are realized. But it is far more than that. Patience is a teacher. It teaches us to let go of control, to trust in the timing of life, and to learn from every experience, whether it is one of success or failure. Patience is the art of concealing your impatience, said Guy Kawasaki. And sometimes patience means accepting the things we cannot change, trusting that all will unfold in its own time. By letting go of the need to control every aspect of our lives, we free ourselves to experience life more fully and more peacefully. It is often during the most difficult moments, when we feel the weight of our struggles, that patience reveals its true power. When we are challenged by obstacles, when things don't go as planned, it is easy to become discouraged. But patience teaches us that setbacks are not failures, they are opportunities to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. Patience is not about waiting, but how you act while you're waiting, said Joyce Meyer. It is in the moments of trial that our patience is tested and refined. It is in these moments that we discover how much strength we have within us. Patience also nurtures our capacity for empathy and understanding. When we learn to be patient with ourselves, we become more patient with others. We begin to understand that everyone is on their own journey, with their own struggles and challenges. As the famous poet Khalil Gibran once said, "Your daily life is your temple and your religion." When you enter into it, take with you your all. Patience allows us to enter into the lives of others with kindness, understanding, and compassion. It gives us the ability to wait, to listen, and to offer support without rushing to judge or fix. The act of waiting, of being patient, also allows us to practice faith. Faith in the process, faith in ourselves, and faith in the greater plan of life. Faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase, said Martin Luther King Jr. Faith and patience go hand in hand. Without patience, our faith can falter, for patience is what sustains us when the journey seems long, when the results are not yet apparent. It is in the waiting that we develop a deeper connection to our faith. trusting that everything we need will come when the time is right. In moments of impatience, we must remind ourselves that good things take time. Success, love, growth, and peace are not instantaneous. They are the product of time, effort, and patience. The two most powerful warriors are patience and time, said Leo Tolstoy. Time, when coupled with patience, becomes an unstoppable force. It is through the passage of time that we heal, that we grow, and that we grow, and that we transform. Patience does not ask us to remain idle, it asks us to remain faithful, to remain strong, and to continue moving forward, step by step, even when the end is not yet in sight. There will be moments in life when we feel like giving up, when we feel like we can no longer wait. But it is in those moments that we must remember the power of patience. We must remind ourselves that growth is a slow process, that we are becoming stronger with each passing day, even when we cannot see it. Patience is the companion of wisdom, said St. Augustine, and it is through patience that we learn to trust the journey, to trust the process, and to trust that all things, in their own time, will work out for our good. So let us embrace patience. Let us learn to wait without anxiety, to trust without doubt, and to move forward with grace. For in patience we find the strength to endure, the wisdom to learn, and the peace to appreciate every step of the journey. Patience is not merely the ability to wait, it is the ability to live fully in the moment, to trust the process, and to know that everything will unfold as it should. With patience we are capable of achieving anything, for we know that with time anything is possible. In a world that constantly encourages us to do more, be more, and achieve more, easy to forget the true power that lies in stillness. We are taught to fill every moment with activity, to constantly be on the move, to chase success and productivity at all costs. Yet there is a profound truth in the quiet moments of life, where silence becomes not a void, but a powerful tool for growth and clarity. As Albert Einstein once said, the monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind. It is in silence that we find the space to think clearly, to reflect deeply, and to reconnect with our true purpose. The noise of the world can be overwhelming, but silence offers us a refuge. It is in the absence of distractions that we find the presence of our thoughts, the voice of our intent, as the voice of our inner wisdom. As the philosopher Lao Tzu wisely said, silence is a source of great strength. It is in these quiet moments that we are able to listen to ourselves, to others, and to the divine guidance that often goes unnoticed in the hustle of life. When we are still, we are able to hear the answers that lie deep within us, answers that are drowned out by the chaos of our daily lives. The world may often view silence as a weakness, as something to be avoided or feared. But in truth, silence is not a sign of emptiness, it is a sign of emptiness. It is a sign of strength. It is in silence that we find our resilience, our capacity for patience, and our ability to face life's challenges with grace. As the poet Rainer Maria Rilke wrote, "The silence is the great teacher, and to learn its lessons you must pay attention in silence. We learn to wait. We learn to trust the process of life, knowing that everything unfolds in its own time. Silence teaches us that there is power in stillness, and that we need not rush or force things to happen. Everything will come when the time is right." In a world that values speed and efficiency, silence can be an act of rebellion, a rebellion against the constant rush to achieve, to perform, and to be seen. But in this stillness we find our truest selves. Silence is a true friend who never betrays, said Confucius. It is in these moments of quiet that we can reconnect with who we truly are, without the noise of external influences clouding our judgment. Silence helps us rediscover our purpose, realign our values, and regain our focus on what truly matters. The ability to embrace silence is a powerful tool for transformation. It allows us to process our experiences, reflect on our decisions, and find clarity in our lives. Silence is the sleep that nourishes wisdom, said Francis Bacon. It is in these moments of quiet reflection that we gain insight into our journey, that we learn from our past, and that we make space for new beginnings. So let us not fear silence, but embrace it. In the stillness we find the strength to face the world with a clear mind, a peaceful heart, and a renewed sense of purpose. As we make room for silence in our lives, we open ourselves to the wisdom, clarity, and divine guidance that it offers. In the quiet, we are not empty, we are whole, we are present, and we are ready to move forward with confidence and grace.